Good morning, everybody. Coach Tommy here with Smashing Plastic Podcast. So glad that we have you here. We're going to introduce you to our guest. His name is Jeff Conradi. Jeff, take it over, man. Tell all these people who you are and what you're about in the world of pickle.
Okay, my name is Jeff Conradi, originally from Minnesota. Coached high school and college hockey, was recuperating on an injury, and looked down at the gym and they were playing pickleball there. One of the players was one of the hockey coaches that I knew. So I went down there and asked to play and just fell in love with the sport right away. And I was telling Sean, my career was as a corporate pilot, and there's not too many people that have played more places than I have. You know, it's been 37 states, 4 countries, and almost 300 different venues. Use that to become an ambassador in Minnesota. And 5 years ago, we moved down here to Hilton Head. And now I'm the district ambassador for the Middle Atlantic states for USA Pickleball, PPR certified professional instructor, and just love the sport. You know, I had my share of winning medals and stuff, and now I got down here and I just want to play and help other people enjoy the sport, have fun, and get better. It's a great sport. You know, what other sport can you play with your spouse and your grandkids and everybody have a good time?
Yeah, I love that. And just to give everybody a little bit more background on that. So the USA ambassador. So what I want people on our podcast to understand is there are truly, Jeff, people behind the scenes that are legitimately not just responsible, but actively pursuing ways to grow the game. And USA Pickleball is a big part of that. You're a huge proponent of that. You're an ambassador for USA Pickleball, as am I, which is why we're having this conversation. Can you bring people into speed on what I don't think anybody understands how many behind the scene activities are always going on for the last, definitely since COVID, but I think even this last calendar year, you and I can agree on just how much behind the scenes work is happening to explode pickleball.
It's amazing. USA Pickleball, they've got over 2,000 ambassadors that, from all parts of the country and all parts of the world now that, you know, our job is to promote the sport, get people excited about it. USA Pickleball, as the governing body of this sport, you know, they're the ones who make the rules, control products, have tournaments, you know, just promote it everywhere we can. And like I was telling Sean, the only limitation to the growth of this sport is the lack of courts. You know, there's a lot of tennis courts sitting empty. We're trying to get more pickleball courts into dual purpose, if nothing else. But the growth of the sport is just crazy. Like I said, what sport can you play with your spouse and your grandkids and everybody have a good time? And what's happened in USA Pickleball, there's only about 15% of the players who play this sport play in more than one tournament a year. And what happens is USA Pickleball in the past and most local clubs, their emphasis is on their tournament a year and on the 15% of the high-level players. And they do very little for the 85% of the low-level players. Yet when they have a tournament come up, it's that 85% of the players that, you know, make the tournament successful, all the volunteers. So recently, USA Pickleball is trying to come out with a program that is more enticing to the recreational players. And they're trying to get competitive, semi-competitive, not so much totally competitive, but leagues in communities where you'll have, you know, a bunch of different teams and they'll play each other and in a non-threatening environment, but just to get people involved, to get people noticing what USA Pickleball has done and can do for them and, you know, help grow the sport. This is going to be huge in getting all people together and getting local communities like your community. You'll get a team of 10 players and you'll come down to play our team, and you go over to play Aiken and we'll go to Savannah or something, just to get more people involved in this sport.
Yeah,
and
I think
we can do.
No, you're absolutely right. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, the community of, we'll even just identify them. Let's just say realistically 3 5s and under is really got a large gap, right? Of the how to, because you and I both know the more successful that you are at playing pickleball, the better that you become at pickleball, the more that you want to play pickleball. I mean, that's just the natural given to where folks want to do what they're good at. And I have felt, and I have seen a huge need to where courts, especially, I think you can agree, Jeff, nowadays, now that you've got this wave of picklers, is really, it's really tough for a beginner that hasn't played pickleball or even knows what pickleball is to walk to an open court, if there isn't even such a thing as an open court anymore, and play. What's your thoughts on that?
Kind of losing you a bit there, Tommy, but
I'm sorry. Yeah,
what I did
I'm
get
sorry.
out of that is, okay, is, yeah, it's tough for a beginner to come in and try to find a place to play. I just came back. I spent a week in Minnesota, and there was 8 courts, 51 people there playing. Everybody having a great time. They had a paddleboard set up, and somebody would say, "Hey, court open, blue, you're out." A couple minutes later, court open, red, you're out. And everybody just rotated in and had a good time. Down here in this area where I'm at now, it's all private communities, and everybody's got nice facilities and stuff, but you end up with a ownership or entitlement attitude for some of the, in most cases, higher level players. And they want their courts. They don't want the new people to come in and play. And that's really unfortunate, and that hurts the growth in a lot of players. You know, that higher level player playing down with a player, they get an opportunity to learn and get better, because they can say, "Hey, every shot I'm going to hit a drop shot. Every shot I'm going to hit something over here." So they get a chance to get better instead of just coming on the court and blasting away and have the game get over as quick as possible. Nobody has fun in that situation. And I'm sure you've got the same thing up there in the Charleston area, where players, if they come in from tennis, you know, I tell them you have 2 choices. You can learn how to play pickleball, in which case you'll be good quickly, or you can continue to play tennis on a small court. Most of the tennis players will continue to play tennis on a small court. They stay back at the baseline, they hit the ball hard, and they don't give themselves a chance to really get better. You know, we're considering them the bangers type. And other than a serve or return a serve, they might only hit the ball 4 or 5 times in a game.
Right.
How do you get
Right.
better? You know, you have to, the game is more about how many times you hit the ball. The more times you hit the ball, the more fun you're having, and the better you're going to get, you know, because
Sure.
you're hitting the ball more times.
Right. No, I think you're absolutely right. And it really is, it's a challenge, and it's probably going to continue to be a challenge. I think you would agree, because as you get communities that develop a pickleball, let's just say hypothetically, an HOA decides to stripe their tennis courts with pickleball lines, which is great. Now, all of a sudden, you know, you've got guys and gals that showed up first. Now they're the hierarchy of pickleball. And we see it all over the place in different courts, to where it becomes kind of cliquey. And I think one of the beautiful things that pickleball has that a lot of sports didn't have for a while is the sense of community. So I really hope and pray that at the end of the day, as a USA ambassador, but also as just as a pickleball guy, that we can come to some revelation per se of being able to welcome the newbies, because that's what's going to make the sport grow, is having new players each and every week that have the opportunity to play. And I love what you're saying there, to where learning the tactical way to play pickleball makes pickleball way funner than trying to hit a winner on every shot. It's not the way the sport was designed to be played. It really is a tactical game. And I feel like the more tactical that you become at pickleball, it really does become a much funner way to play the game.
Oh, without question. You know, the average player is trying to hit a winner on every shot.
Correct.
And the first 4 shots are setup shots. You know,
Right.
Don't even try to hit a winner unless it's above your shoulder and you can hit down on it. But otherwise, you know, it's a positioning shot, and trying to get yourself or your partner in a position to hit that winning shot. But you look at the better players who are bangers, the average rally is probably 4 or 5 shots. And what I try to do is, since I came out of hockey, Wayne Gretzky had a saying, "Don't go to where the puck is, go to where the puck's going to be." And I try to teach that in pickleball too. If we can hit, move, and wait, you know, move to where we're in the best chance of defending any shot. And if my partner and I are playing together, we can set up a wall to cover 90% of the court, force them to hit that other shot. But if we can hit, move, and you're sitting there with a ready position, your knees bent and your paddle out in front of you, you're going to be successful. If you hit the ball, pat yourself in the back and say, nice shot, and then you have to take 2 steps to hit the next one, 2 steps to hit the next one, the rally is going to be over in a couple shots. And, trying to get the people to extend rallies. And you look at the pros, the number of balls that they hit deeper out is not many. Not many. The game is played in the middle of the court, really.
No,
and
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I feel like at the end of the day, like once you play enough, and hopefully now that pickleball is becoming mainstream, even on TV, and where people can watch pros play a lot more than what we could a year or 2 or 3 years ago, you can really learn and see how the best players in the world do it. And hopefully that will emulate into, the players when they get on court, so that I'm like you're not at the baseline trying to hit this amazing winning shot, or even worse, trying to hit a ball through somebody from the baseline. In pickleball is what I see more and more and more of with power paddles. And we could talk, hours on that. But between you and I love what you said there, though, to where like you're hitting it, you're stopping it, and you're waiting it, and you're seeing where that goes. Because I tell my students that I teach, like every point is literally, if you think about it like a piece to a puzzle, that's really the way, if you looked at every point, that's kind of how it is. Every point sets up a certain position in a certain way that you could have actually won the point. And normally it's really by enforcing the other to make an error way more than it is actually hitting a winner. Would you agree to that, Jeff?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Most points are, there's only 25% of the points are won in pickleball. 75% of the points are lost, hitting it in the net or hitting it out. And, you look at, especially for seniors, you look at lobs, and seniors hate lobs. Well, why? Because they don't even move till the ball's over the net on its way down. You have to watch what that other player is doing. And when they get down, the paddle's down and back, you think they're going to be a lob, you can get yourself ready to take care of that.
Sure.
And we'll play a lot of games with the players where the only thing you're keeping track of is your errors. A big number is not good.
Right.
You don't keep track of winners, just losers. How many balls do you hit in the net? How many balls do you hit wide? And, people have to understand that you don't win a pickleball game, you lose a pickleball game. And you
100%.
can do that. You can play unforced errors where, if you've got 6 people, instead of having 2 people waiting, have them be out there. You hit a ball in the net or out, you're out, they come in for you. And if you're sitting out a lot, you're making a lot of mistakes. You can correct those mistakes because mostly they're mental.
Right.
Your home is more than just a place. It's your pride, your sanctuary. Its exterior is the first impression it gives to the world, and a shield that protects you from the elements. But over time, weather and wear can dull its shine and compromise its safety. That's where we come in. At First Class Painting and Restoration, we bring your property back to life with our premium painting services. Using state-of-the-art tools and techniques, we deliver exceptional results on time and within budget. As a local award-winning company with over 15 years of experience, we're known for our family reputation and unique culture. We're not just painters, we're craftsmen who care about our community and the people we serve. We're committed to bettering our customers, employees, and community through the fun trade of painting. So choose First Class Painting and Restoration and experience the difference of a company that cares. Because making your house feel like home is our first-class service.
I love the angle, and this would be a good time to transition into, because one of the things that I really appreciate about you is the coaching aspect of it. And you can listen to you talk for 2 minutes and understand that you're a coach. Can you give our listeners, I feel like the coaching aspect of pickleball right now is lost, because it's so easy just to grab a paddle somewhere, or as a lot of them will call it, a racket, and go play, but they don't take the opportunity to seek out a true coach. Can you give our listeners the catalyst that it would be for them in their pickleball journey to get legitimate coaching, especially as they navigate beginning the sport?
Oh, that's huge, Tom. You know, if nothing else, people come in and they need somebody to make sure they got the proper shoes. You know, if you don't have a court shoe, you're getting potential injury. If you don't realize that, hey, going backwards is not a good thing, you know. And the tennis players, they come in and they don't do that. The other thing is you have to spend time on fundamentals. And a lot of players, you know, coaches will get in and get them on the other side of the net and hit balls back and forth. You know, that's the first thing they do with the player. And I had one coach up here, he said, well, the game starts with a serve, so that's the first thing we'll do is a serve. And I'm saying, wait a minute. You know, there's a lot of other things, you know, that come into it. You know, when I'll teach them, I'll say, you know, our first hour is going to be where does the ball go when it leaves the paddle? You know, determined by three things: the paddle angle, the follow through, and the backswing. And we can teach each one of those individually. And what that will help you is a month from now, you're hitting the ball in the net all the time. You can say, hey, I remember Jeff said if I do this, you know, that won't happen. So you give yourself a chance to learn. The other thing they'll do, if they start early and you're going across the net, well, half of the balls you hit are going in the net. So then that person is saying, hey, I got to hit it high. Well, that's a bad habit, you know, to hit the ball high over the net. And the other thing, if the ball's in the net, that other person doesn't get a chance to hit it back. And you're seeing in tennis a lot of times, you know, they'll just have a rope and you try to hit it over the net. But even if it is under the net, you still get a chance to hit it back. You know, right. So I'll spend, you know, the first 45 minutes working cross court without a net and doing those things, throwing the ball. How, you know, what happens when you bring your hand way back and, you know, that tennis bet, all the pros say if you want to get better, shorten your swing. Right. You know, and whether you get them standing up against a fence or something, but those fundamentals are huge. And once you get the fundamentals, you know, then you can get them into, you know, the positioning bit, you know, where do you stand on a serve and why are you coming up? You know, I'll have first day players stand at the baseline and I'll go up and say, hey, look over the top of the net. How much of the court can you see? None. I said, what that means is from back here, you have to hit up on the ball. You're not going to win points sitting up on the ball. You can be successful keeping the ball in play, but you're not going to win points. Then you have them walk up to the non-volley line and say, now how much of the court can you see? Well, I can see most of the court. That means from here, you get to hit down on the ball. This is where you win points. And this is where you got to spend 90, 95% of your time. And hopefully with some of the tennis players, they understand that concept. And, you know, once they understand that and they can hit, you know, most of the balls semi under control, then you can start teaching them, you know, the game and what happens. And I think too many times coaches, they'll do two things. One of them is they'll be on one side of the net and they'll have 6 or 8 people on the other side and they're hitting balls back and forth. Well, the only person getting better is the coach. He's hitting every other ball. You know, you got to let them hit the ball. Right. And, you know, that's important. And then scoring, you can't teach scoring until you know how to hit the ball.
Wow. I feel like the tactical part that we talked about, like, is so important on the coaching aspect of it. And it's one of those few things that where if you truly do get a pickleball coach that's got not just the background, but they've got the how-to on teaching you, like you're talking right now, on the upfront of what you're looking for and how you're positioning and how you hit the ball, how you hit topspin, you know, what the angles that we're working on. It makes the game so much more fun. But most importantly, it allows you to smile knowing that even if you're failing and you didn't hit the shot that you wanted to hit, it allows you to at least have some sort of goal per shot of what you're trying to do so that you can start trying to accomplish that game that you want. And that's one of the biggest things that I like to do with our students is teach and train and equip them to where they're understanding the game as they get better and better per game, per item that they're working on. It's not something that you're just going to learn overnight. I feel like one of the lost things about pickleball is that you can pick it up and start it and be successful very easily. To a degree, that I agree. But also, you and I both know, you go play a true pickler, a 4-0 and above, and you're not a pickler, it's going to be a really bad day for you, and you're going to look silly no matter how athletic you are. You know what I mean, Jeff? Like, you and I both have played people that are way older, way absolutely. Younger, you know what I mean, that have just flat worn us out because they understood the game better to do what they do. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, yeah, you know, one of the biggest things we want to do as coaches generally is slow people down. You know, they're tennis, you got happy feet. We want to slow people down a little bit. And,
Right.
the only motion you got is maybe a step and a half sideways, back and forth. There's not that much full speed running required
Right.
in this sport if you're in position. And no, you're absolutely right about the numbers of times you hit the ball makes it more fun.
It does. And it just makes you want to keep on keeping on, which is why our sport is growing so much, is just people are understanding just truly
Yes.
how much fun it can really be. It is legitimately a fun sport to play. Whatever level that you're at, it is legitimately one of the rare sports that you can truly smile as you're getting your butt kicked, which is really odd to say in a competitive sport,
Yeah.
but you really can. I mean, it's a very fun
Yep.
sport that way, that you'll just keep on playing. I think lastly, if you don't mind, is bring us up to speed about Head. People don't know who you are with Head. They understand, my audience knows is that I'm with Head. I'm a sponsored athlete of Head, but tell them a little bit about Head, who you are with Head and where Head's going. And it's such a big brand that I feel like sometimes it's lost in translation with how much behind the scenes Head does for you, Head does for me, Head does for the world basically in pickleball. Where are we at with Head? And give us some updates on equipment and get people to smile a little bit when they see a Head paddle out there on the court.
Okay, well, I go back to the 60s with Head. When I was in high school and college, I was a alpine ski racer, and I skied on their skis.
Okay.
And we'd put on a fall sports show, and I actually had Howard Head come over to the house for spaghetti dinner after
Wow.
one of these events. And then when I got into pickleball about 6 years ago down at the U.S. Open, Head had a booth there, and I didn't know that they had equipment because they had just
Sure.
gotten into it about that time. And I talked to him there and mentioned that I had personally met Howard Head. And they said, well, that's really neat. Would you be interested in, going back to Minnesota with Head? And I said, sure, that sounds great. And so I brought the Head equipment back there. And, the thing about Head, they've got more experience than any other maker in composites and graphite. They've been
Right.
dealing with that since the 60s with skis. Most of the other companies started, making paddles in their garage. Now they just have a bigger garage.
Right. Right.
Head has got it's a manufacturing process. The average other company will say, hey, our paddles are between 7.3 and 7.5 ounces. Well, that's not good enough. For Head, if we say it's 7.3, it's 7.3 or it doesn't go out the door.
Gotcha.
And a lot of people will, they worry about the weight. The weight is not that important. It's the balance. Where's the weight located? If you want to be a banger, you want the paddle tip heavy. If you want to be a control paddle or player, you want the paddle handle heavy. People say, oh, women, they want a light paddle. No, they don't. They want a heavier paddle, but they want it handle heavy. Otherwise they'll create problems.
Right.
And I've been fortunate to be able to go out to Arizona a couple of times, and whenever I'd go out there, I'd get involved in some paddle testing, where you go out to a court with 5 or 6 other players, and you got a bunch of paddles, all black, with a number on it. And you'll play 15, 20 minutes with that paddle, and then you'll write a report on it. What did I like, what I didn't like? And then you play with another paddle. You could end up playing with the same paddle all day long, but you're writing, report on this paddle. So then the engineers go back and take all the good and the bad and redesign paddles. And that might happen 2 or 3 times before a paddle actually, gets into production. It's been that many times.
Wow.
And, as far as quality control, I can't see where there's anybody that will be close to what Head does as a quality control based on their, the tennis rackets and the skis. They go back a long way, and they've got a good rapport with the players. If there's anything where we might lack right now is we don't have that big name player.
Right.
The Ben Johns, the Annalie
Right.
Waters. But, that comes with some negatives too. You're paying an extra $50 for your paddle to
Sure.
pay for them.
Sure. Sure.
We're paying it in the quality of the paddle.
Sure.
And, the new paddles we've got out, the Radical with the Knight and the new Radical Boom, I've played with both of them, and I don't know if you have yet. If not, I'll get you some of those to play with. But they make a difference. It's and again, when people come to me for a paddle, a demo, I say, what kind of player are you? If you're a control player, you're going to want the extreme type paddle, or maybe the gravity. If you're a banger type player, you're going to want, radical, or the heavy radical. And, let them play with a couple different paddles. When I mentioned the weight of the paddle, when you go to a show, everybody will, have their scale for the weight. I'll go with a pencil and just see where the balance is. Where is it located? That's more important than what the paddle weighs, because you can change the paddle weight and you can change the balance too with, lead tape.
Lead tape, yeah.
But the average person, they don't understand that. And, the paddles, the 7 to 10 good companies that make a good paddle, you can probably do well with any of those companies. As far as you playing, it's what works for you. What you need to look at is the quality of the paddle, the quality control, and if you have a problem with it, do they take care of you or not?
Sure.
And that's what, you and I as a team head member, I mean, you're out there, we're promoting the paddles as best we can. And, the top paddle companies and players, that's why Hula's had that problem. You go buy a paddle that's got Ben John's name on it. That's not the same paddle that Ben John's is playing with.
Right.
They're paying him a lot of money, and he says, hey, I want this paddle, but I want you to do this, this, and this with it. And when I got with Head, after I got, to be with him and then the regional marketing coordinator in these areas, I said, I hope Head doesn't do that. I don't want to be, my reputation means more to that. When I say this is the paddle you're going to buy, this is the paddle you're going to buy, they're all going to be the same. And you look at, not getting on any other companies, but you look when Pickleball Central has their manufacturers defective paddles, you won't see any Head paddles there. You'll see a lot of Engage and Paddle Tech and, Selkirk paddles there, because they just don't have the quality control.
Wow.
But I think the future for us, two things. Noise is the biggest one, both in paddles and balls. We have to try to control that. And I think everybody is trying to do that because they know that's the future. And, when you look at the paddles that can accelerate the ball off the paddle, that's not good for the game.
Right.
The equipment shouldn't be a determining factor for who wins the game.
Right.
And, with the serve, trying to eliminate the power serves and stuff, the good players say, all you got to do is get your serve in. You only get one bad serve a month. And, when you're trying to hit those lines or all this other stuff and you're hitting balls out, you're losing opportunities to win.
Right. No, I can't say enough. They've really done well by me. I know they've done well by you and everybody that I have given, demos to, or that has bought paddles or that has played with Head. That's the one thing that I can definitely tell you, the durability of a Head compared to any other paddle that I have seen or that I have played, honestly, is kind of second to none. I've got Head paddles when I was first sponsored over 3 years ago that are still, you could play them today. With no problem whatsoever. So I definitely agree with you 1,000%. I am looking forward to seeing them more. I think that you're definitely seeing it as the game has gone more. Just heck, in the last 3 years since I've been sponsored, I'm seeing more and more Head, which is great. You know what I mean? The engineering, the marketing that they're doing, I feel like is definitely on the rise, which is awesome. I got a chance to meet Katie out of Myrtle Beach. Did get a chance to play with her, and I played with the Boom that she had. That's a great paddle. It's already on my list to get. Yeah, it's a really good paddle. So I'm looking forward to getting some of those. And I guess to end this, Jeff, is I'm going to let you do our coach's tip. I can't think of a better coach. So if you would, you've got a brand new person that literally just wants to come to the game. Give us a good coach's tip that you would like to share with anybody that's listening to this podcast, and give them something a little inspiring from Coach Jeff. Well,
the first thing for everybody, little more knee bend. That's going to help. Keep the paddle out in front of you. That's going to help. Anticipate. Watch what the other players are doing. They will tell you a lot. And then shorten your swing. And when you're playing in recreational play, you don't have to hit winners. You want to get better in recreational play. So work on, shots that you're not very good at. I have my players, every time they play, I have them, when you go home, write down 2 things that you didn't think you did well in, 2 things you think you did well in. Next time you go play, work specifically on those things. And I think that is all huge.
Well, I love it. I can't thank you enough for all that you do for me and all that you do for the game. From USA Pickleball, from freaking, Head, from Smashing Plastic, like literally, Coach Jeff, give you a huge thank you. Definitely looking forward to having you back on, and most importantly, looking forward to bumping you soon and actually getting some FaceTime with you so that we can play some pickleball.
Sounds good. And give me that information on those 4 juniors you had.
I will. I'll send them to you, and that way you're gonna be pretty excited about these guys. We got some young bucks that are just absolute studs, Jeff.
I've got 2 grandsons that are incredible, and want to get them involved.
It's insane. Looking forward to seeing you, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Tony.
See you, Coach.
Take care, Tony.
Bye-bye.